Hey, it's golden hour, my favorite time of day. And I'm usually really calm and winding down during this time. But today, just been thinking about too many things. So, wanted to come on here, try to have a conversation, see if anyone else resonates with these ideas, and to help me feel a little bit less crazy. So the other day, I had a conversation with one of my former clients who is about my father's age. So there's a significant generational gap. And in talking with him, he basically gave me what I think he meant as a compliment of, wow, you and your generation, you're just so far beyond how I was when I was your age. He used words like maturity and awareness and knowing things, and it felt like a compliment. At least it did for a little bit, and then I started getting a reminder of a video that I had watched about 3 weeks before. And in this video, the celebrity gets asked about essentially why he's not on social media anymore. And in his response, he said something along the lines of, I know people who have trained for trying to get to the peak of Mount Everest. They spend their lives devoted to this. Some people die and don't see it. And I went on Instagram the other day, and I know what Mount Everest looks like from the peak. And that just feels unfair. That feels almost like it's so disconnected from reality that my brain exploded and I just couldn't do it anymore. And when my client basically said to me, oh, look at all these things that you know and how worldly you seem to be, I started to question whether that was actually true. Because yes, it is true that I can go online whenever I want and essentially have the how-tos for every single skill I could ever want. I have the background knowledge of every president, every state, every country that has ever existed. But I didn't have to do anything other than click a button to have any of that information. And so there's not this spending your life devoted to seeing something. There's not this awesomeness attached to discovering something, because there's no real challenge and struggle and participation in getting the information. So the information just kind of stays information. But the problem I'm seeing is that we think we've been to the top of Everest and we've never seen it. Or we know what it looks like, but we've never actually been there. And so there's a lot of not just places and people and all that stuff, but there's also concepts and processes that we don't know because we've never participated in, but we can hear someone else talking about it for 5 minutes and we feel like we get it. We have been trained to see something, hear something, whatever, from the comfort of our couch, of our bed, of our homes, and never had to go back into an encyclopedia and find the information. It's just right there. And so there's an expectation of knowing. And every little bit of knowing almost has this underlying expectation of not needing to actually participate in order to know it. And so is that actual knowing? I don't think so. Is it helpful? in this society, in a lot of ways, it seems like it has been. But I feel like this slippery slope of we think we know absolutely everything because we can regurgitate these lines of information that we didn't have to work in order to get. We didn't have to go through and do all the hard work of the different sources and bringing it together and writing essays, and we can just put it into one sentence and we feel like we get it, we understand it. We truly feel like we know Mount Everest and have been to the top and know what it looks like. And we actually can never know until we go and do it, until we've been there, until we've participated, until we've metabolized. And the problem I'm seeing is that as I'm looking back into my life, into what I feel like I know, I have all of these nuggets of information. I have all these badges of success, these like resume builders, and have all these labels of what I am and what I know of other people to be, and what I know of society to be, and what I know of neuroscience and this, that, and the other, and I've never participated in it. There are some things in my life that I've participated in and I feel like I know, but 99.9% of the information, because it's just fire hosed into us all the time, every time you scroll, every time you watch something on YouTube, you're watching conversations as like a fly on the wall, but you weren't actually there in the room and you don't actually know what the context is, and everything is so disconnected from everything else. And yet you can say the right things because someone, sometime, in some place has participated and they've given you like that nugget. But the point of living is to take that thing that's already limited, because they've experienced this thing and they're describing to you or showing you or demonstrating for you their understanding, but it's always going to be limited. And the only way to actually know of those things is to then reanimate and participate in that knowledge ourselves. And I'm fearing that most of the things that we're using in our everyday lives and convincing ourselves of in our minds, and the stories that we're telling ourselves of what we do and don't know, are all based on ideas that stop at the neck and aren't being swallowed and metabolized and filtered through to become a part of us. They're just something that we can stick on or open up for later. There's not like a true changing of the personality of the body, because it doesn't get there. We're not allowing it to change us. And I'm just incredibly worried. I'm just incredibly worried about how I'm coming into the world now, and how many times I didn't participate in something that I think that I know. And so then how many nuggets that are creating the stories that are helping to filter the reality that I'm seeing, how much of that is just a picture on Instagram of Everest versus an actual sacrificial, in place, participatory, embodied knowing of Everest. And I think it's significantly more than I will ever be able to realize. And I think that's how we as a society now are building our psyches. And so how do we recognize this? I don't know. Like, I don't know how we can begin to participate with the things that we know and begin to accept that we don't know the things that we think we know. And I recognize we have to act as if most of the time, because we don't know everything. We can never know everything or anything, really. But the way that we're using this information is at such a heady level, such a disconnected, embodied level, such a lack of true knowing level. And then the way that we're using this information is as if we know. I think that's going to lead to very shallow understandings of the world, very breakable understandings of the world, very Tower of Babel, terrible foundation understandings of the world. And we're not going to be able to see that's how it's been created. We're going to think that that's just what it is because we know it, not that we've created something that is a faux representation of what it actually is. And so I'm just sitting here contemplating how to participate with my ideas, how to metabolize and embody these ideas, and how to accept that most of my ideas are not mine. If not, all of them are not mine. And they're so disconnected from the real and have made up all of my filters on how to see the world. How to actually accept that so that they can be dismantled, destroyed, so that I can reconfigure myself into a more genuine participator with the world and my ideas. Because right now those ideas seem to be clouding what I'm actually seeing, because I'm coming into every circumstance, every situation with some underlying expectation of knowing things that I didn't participate in the understanding of. And so can I really be participating with the world genuinely, authentically, in the present, if it's based off of ideas that are not real? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe so. But I feel like something is missing there. I feel like something is disconnected there. And I think it's important to attend to that difference. Yeah. Thanks for listening.